Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to our second sessions of GDSC Skills Up. Let's wait 1 more minute for everyone to join us on the YouTube. So in the meantime, can you put where you're coming from on the chat box so me and Imre knows where are you coming from? Oh, I see some people from Indonesia, I think. Hello. Hi, Kak. Anyone else from other region or other countries? Vietnam, India, hi. Indonesia, Bogor, okay. Oh, I saw a lot of Indonesian joining our sessions today. Okay, I think we can start. Hello, my name is Febria. I'm Technical Project Manager for Google Developer Southeast Asia team. Today, before we start, I want to have like a quick icebreaker with you, with everyone. So let's play. The rules is easy. So just put the answer on the comment box so we know your answer. So the first questions. What is your favorite lunch menu from your countries? Um, Feel free to put that answer on the comment. For me, I think my favorite lunch menu from Indonesia is gado-gado. Do you know gado-gado? I would like to understand from other countries like India or Vietnam, what is your favorite lunch menu? If you, I'll give you like 1 minute, like to type your favorite menu. Nasi Padang, bala-bala, dal bati. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, I saw a lot of bala-bala. Meatball, Indian food. Okay, okay. What else? Banh mi, mie ayam. Okay, now I'm getting hungry because it's almost lunchtime in Indonesia. So let's go to the next questions. Are you a morning person or a night person? Can you type your answer on the chat box? For me, I'm a night person. I'm more productive when I do my work at night. So what about you? Uh, I guess most of engineers, my engineers friends, are night person. But I want to see how's our students friends here looks like. Is it are you a morning person or are you more into the night person? Afternoon. Okay, not a morning and night, but afternoon. Okay. Sometimes morning and sometimes night. Okay. More night. Okay. Interesting. Okay, then I think we can start. Thank you everyone for joining today's sessions. This is our second sessions of GDSC Skills Up talk series. So in this talk series, you will learn from the industry expert about career intake and how to level up yourself in terms of your career. So we will help you with the career planning. So if you haven't registered, feel free to register to our link here. So goo.gl/GDSC-skills-up. You will get updated every time we have a new sessions. So this event will run from May 10 until June 30. So the first session is already happened last week. We discussing about building resume and preparing for your tech interview. So if you haven't watched it, feel free to find the video on this YouTube channel. So probably we will link that on the comments later. And yeah, don't forget to register yourself. Before we start, I also want to give you a quick brief about Google Developer Students Club. So if you are students and interested to build your leadership skills, I would suggest you to join our Google Developer Students Club leads. as a leads. So this is a global communities where you will be meeting with the leads, the GDS leads from other countries. And now the application is still open until end of May. So for Southeast Asia, you can still apply until I think 31st of May. So feel free to use this link here to register yourself. Okay, this is the same link, just less image. Okay. So goo.gle/GDSC-app-skills up. Okay, use that to register your applications. Now back to the topic. On these sessions, we will getting to know the roles about cloud engineer. How many of you already know about cloud engineer actually? Anyone? Anyone already know about cloud engineer? Are they doing something like this? Doing the magic with cloud? Or are they doing this? If you're watching MotoGP, I believe that you know this meme. Or doing this. I'm not sure either. So let's find out from our expert, Mas Imre from GoToFinancials. He is a cloud engineer and our GDE or Google Developer Expert for Google Cloud Platform. Let me invite Mas Imre to the stage. Hi, Mas Imre.
Halo Mbak Febri,
How are you?
doing good, thank you. What about you?
Okay. I'm great. I'm great. I'm super excited for these sessions because when I search for the meme, it's so funny. So I really want to understand like about the roles and like the day to day, so our students friends here can understand as well. So when they started to planning their career, they can consider to become a cloud engineer as well. So yeah, probably Mas Imre, can you share a bit about yourself, your background to our audience here?
Okay, cool. Thank you Mbak Febri. So actually I'm really excited to be here today because I think I haven't done any live streaming in YouTube for the past 2 months. So I think this is the comeback. So yeah, hello everyone. Nice to meet you all. So my name is Imre, Imre Nagi, but you can call me Imre. And I'm currently working in GoToFinancial, aka GoPay. So my role is actually cloud platform engineer in GoPay infrastructure engineering team. So outside work, I do a lot of things. I do podcasts and I do YouTube and I do some shit posts in Twitter. So if you follow me from Twitter, probably you know. And then what else? I also a part of GD program. So GD is a Google Developer Expert, where we become the advocate outside Google, the one who give a talk, presentation, or write blog and do video tutorial, that kind of thing related to the field that we focus on. For me, it was initially data, but right now I'm shifting to more compute like GKE or containerization. And yeah, I think that's all.
Okay. Uh, we, uh, I will start about. I already introduced you as a cloud engineer, Mas Imre. Probably can you share what is cloud engineer?
Yeah,
So the audience know like they have like the same expectation as us. What about the cloud
yeah.
engineer?
So cloud engineer is the one who control the cloud. If you ever see the MotoGP, right? You see someone trying to control the cloud to stop rain. No, I'm kidding. So, cloud platform engineer. So I think we cannot talk about cloud engineer before really understand what cloud is. So I will start with cloud. What cloud is? Cloud is actually cloud computing, to be exact. Is a platform where we don't really need to own any server, but we can actually run our application uh, like as a normal application. We have a server. Typically, we have server at home, and then we run it, and then we expose it, and then we register its DNS, and then user can access it. But right now, because there are a lot of usage, probably remaining usage, probably if you talk about the big company like Google, they have really huge data center. but initially it wasn't properly utilized. So what they need to do is they rent some part of it to the customer so that customer can use Google computing power to run their application. So it's actually still a server, but you cannot really see it. So and then people imagine that the server is on the cloud, so that's why it become cloud computing. So yeah, so if we talk about cloud computing, actually there are a lot of things in cloud computing, right? If we talk about networking, we have VPC, virtual private cloud, and then if we have compute, we have a lot of things like VM, we have Kubernetes, and then we have database as well. We have storage, we have data analytics, and that kind of thing. So the role of the cloud engineer in general is to maintain all of these things. So if you work in a company and then you have application running on cloud, and then the cloud engineer will be the one who maintain that platform. So uh, why do we need to maintain that platform? So the reason is because we need to ensure the stability and the reliability of the system where the application is running. So let's take example as GoPay, right? You're using GoPay. Probably, if not all of you, probably most of you are using GoPay in Indonesia. And then GoPay is running in a cloud infrastructure. And then our task is to ensure that whenever you use GoPay, you can still complete your transaction. You can see what you need to see, and you can finish what you need to do. So we need to ensure that. And then there are a lot of things in GoPay happen. We have a lot of compute resources running on cloud, and then we need to ensure all of them. So in general, that's what cloud engineer do. So the goal is to ensure the stability and reliability. But if we talk about more in detail, so if I may split it into several domains. So if we talk about the cloud engineer, one people cannot really handle all of them because there are a lot of things, right? There are networking, databases, compute, and data analytics, and so on. But if
Mm-hmm.
let's take example in GoPay. So in GoPay, we have team cloud infrastructure engineering. So that team is actually split into four different focus. The first one is governance.
Oh,
Governance
okay.
is the one who maintain all of the resources, the ownership, and then cost and that kind of thing. And then there are also team called foundation that focus on building the platform itself. Like we are using Kubernetes, so there will be the one who maintain the Kubernetes platform. It was the foundation team.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also a team that maintain the reliability of our databases. Sometimes we call it automation team. So it manage the stateful component, it manage the uh, infrastructure code, and then it also manage if there is some need to update the OS, if there is a need for update the database, we typically do that. And there is also another team like observability team, which maintain the monitoring system. So after you deploy the application, developer needs to know what happened with the application.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot do anything if we don't know how the application behave in our user, right? So we need to know whether the application is running normally or whether there is something wrong. And there is also alerting system that tells us that something wrong happened. So that's in general how we split the task. But I think this is depends on the company.
Mm-hmm.
Probably in company in different scale or probably smaller scale will have smaller team, cloud engineer. They typically call it DevOps or SRE. It's pretty much similar. But yeah, I think if the team is smaller, which means the responsibility becomes higher because let's say if you just have one DevOps team, probably it will do a lot of things. It will prepare the environment, it will prepare the infrastructure, compute, and it will also ensure the monitoring part, and it will also monitor for the cost, do some setting in networking and that kind of thing. So I think, yeah, that's the cloud engineer. Uh, if we should start with the definition, I think that's too much, but yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay, okay. I think you mentioned that a lot of the things that cloud engineer do is helping with monitoring, also helping with setting up things. I'm curious, are the cloud engineers still do coding? Are there specific language that they focus on?
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's a really interesting question. Uh, so I think if we take a look into several companies, right? Each company will have different requirements for their cloud engineer or probably DevOps or SRE. In GoToFinancial, especially in infrastructure engineering team, we we actually hire for do software engineering things, but we are the one who can code but can also work in cloud. with a lot of cloud resources. So that's misconception that is actually often see during the interview, where people cannot really do code, but they have experiences in managing the platform, doing a lot of things with sysadmin, with cloud, and that kind of thing. But when it comes to the company, typically we do uh, interview for software engineer, but in cloud domain. Why? Because in the team, we need, even though we are using cloud platform technology or products, right? We still need to develop in-house tools that can be used specifically for our developers. Because uh, we should say is that uh, cloud product like what GCP provide or other cloud provider provides, it's a general. It cannot really solve the problem that we have specifically on that company. So that's why
Yes.
sometimes we need to build our internal tools, and that's why where we need coding skill. So yeah, some company, other companies I observe, they don't really do coding. They just do
Mm-hmm.
scripting. They write IAC like Terraform and Ansible scripting, and then that's all. But they don't really code. But in the GoToFinancial, the cloud engineers still do coding.
Ah, okay. In what language, mas? For go to
Uh,
specifically for go to financial.
Mostly Go actually. Go. We don't do Java. I think we don't do Java. I think the old tools we still use Ruby, but for the latest tools that we develop, we are using mostly in Go.
Okay. I'm also curious, Mas Imre. What make you decide that you want to become a cloud engineer at the first place?
I don't know. I think it has a long history actually. So I actually electrical engineer, right? So once I graduated from the university, I work as a mobile engineer, and then because I don't really like QA complaining about the detail of the UI. Hey, this button is not big as required and that kind of thing. So I decided, okay, this is not for me. So I decided to go to backend, and then when I start learning backend, uh, I think there are a lot of things that can be explored in backend. One of them is cloud. And then I went to study in a master degree, and I take a cloud computing class. So that's where the experience started. I take that class. I took that class, and then I also became the teaching assistant for 2 semesters. So in total, I worked with that course for 3 semesters. And I think there are a lot of things I know. I know at the time there are a lot of things that can be done with cloud. So when I back to Indonesia, I joined a company. I think it was at the time it was Traveloka. I work with data, and data is already in the cloud. So we cannot really do data processing in on-prem because it will cost us a lot. So we
Mm-hmm.
already in cloud. And then after that, I create a startup. I also work on cloud, and then I joined Gojek at the time, and it is also cloud. So I think uh, I think it was started from the interest, and then I see there are a lot of opportunities to learn, opportunities to uh, join community, and then I think that's something that can be done, especially right now. If we talk about cloud is not only about GCP or other cloud providers, right? We can also talk about the bigger community like CNCF, Cloud Native Computing Foundation. There are also
Yeah.
a lot of conference,
Kubernetes. Yeah,
bigger
concept.
community, and then I
Mm-hmm.
think there are still a lot of things to be explored. If people say that, hey, you're GDE in cloud, but why don't you understand this? Okay, cloud is too big. I cannot understand all of them, but I'm specific in some areas. If you ask me these areas, probably I can help. But if not, I will say I don't know. So yeah, I think there are still a lot of things that can be explored. So that's why I think I really like working on this field.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Mas Imre. Now, my next question is now you already shared about the roles. Now I'm curious during your preparations for being a cloud engineers, is there anything that you can share to students so they can also prepare the same thing um to become a cloud engineers?
Okay. I think if you want to be cloud engineer, don't immediately learn about cloud computing itself. You just need to start from the basic. So I think it depends on where you're coming from. I came from software engineering background. So I have more ability to code, ability to write software and that kind of thing. And then what my need was I need to deploy my application to the cloud so that people can use it. Okay, so if you come from different background and like sysadmin, you probably already have some experience with Linux. Probably you have good skill in Linux. You already know a lot of things about Linux, and then uh, typically you deploy application to Linux VM, and then now what you need to do is you also want to deploy your application to the cloud. So I think you need to start from the uh, basics, like how to create application, how to do Linux and that kind of thing. And after that, you start learning about the basic of cloud computing. You cannot directly start learning about Kubernetes. What you need to do is about learning about networking, what networking is, and then what database is. And after that, you can learn. I don't know. Probably you can learn about map radius if you work in data. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, learn about the basic, and then once you have the basic, after that you can start searching for the product that can help you solve your problem. So I always say this kind of thing. Uh, if you go to a GCP or probably other cloud provider, they basically offer the same thing, but they just package it in different way. So let's say in GCP we have VM called Compute Engine. In AWS we also have EC2, right? But actually they are the same thing. If we talk about networking, we have in networking we have concept like subnet, CIDR, then a lot of things, firewall as well. And then if we go to GCP, GCP also have that. But if you go to AWS, AWS also have that. So I think it doesn't really important to directly jump to the cloud provider itself, but you need to learn about what basic of the cloud computing is, what you need, and after that you need to search what the offering that provided by the cloud provider. So I think that's the way. If you want to learn cloud, don't directly jump to the cloud, but learn what you want to do, and then the basic of cloud, and then start searching for the product.
So, if I can summarize, so learn about the fundamental first before you jump into more details um, on the specific products, right,
Yeah,
Mas Imre?
that's right.
Okay. So I saw some of the audience here already asking questions. So probably we can pick one or two now. I think the first one will be coming from Rafi Fata. Mas Imre, how to managing cost properly on Google Cloud Engineer without being overpriced? I think you also mentioned, Mas Imre, earlier that one of the roles of the cloud engineer is also managing the cost. I'm also curious that do you need any specific skill set to do the budgeting or to do the calculations of the cloud sites?
I'm not sure about the budgeting because I never really do budgeting for
Mm-hmm.
cloud. It's out of my scope in the company actually. But what I can share is about how to probably manage costs. So I
Yeah.
think uh, every cloud provider actually have their best practice to managing cloud. So let's take example first in AWS. AWS has some tagging, right? By using tagging, you can also group the resources based on its usage. Let's say I have an application called I don't know. Let's say I have a payment application, and then in the VM we can give a tag like some sample like application payment and that kind of thing, and then in the end you can group that to see how much payment application costs, and then by having that information and see the trend for every month, you can learn about how people really use this, how people spawn resources, and then you can start thinking about the trend and how to do some uh, cost cutting and that kind of thing. It's in GCP. It's also the same. GCP also have some practice where you give tagging and then you can stream the cost data to BigQuery and that kind of thing. You can also do that. One of the most important thing if we want to know about cost is you need to have some monitoring system for the cost. That's the one thing. If you don't know how to monitor the cost, you don't know which part of the system that need to be optimized in terms of cost. I think that's one thing. And in GCP, there are also several things like there is also uh, alarm budget, if I'm not mistaken. So you can specify the budget that you have, and then if the budget is almost exceeding, GCP will send you alert so that you can get to know whether your bill at that month will get exceeded, so that you can take prevention, or probably you can do some cost optimization earlier. uh, yeah, I think that's one thing. And then there are a lot of best practices actually. In If we talk about GCP, there is also, if you just use an GCP as a normal user, like for a side project and that kind of thing, probably you don't have access to it. But if it's a company, probably there will be a discount that can be given by the GCP if you use some certain amount of quota. So let's say you are running 100 compute engine for a month, let's say, and then there will be some discount that you can get. And I think that's one way to optimize the cost as well. I think, yeah, apart from that, I think there are also other best practice, like if you're using VM, there's also preemptible VM that can save you money. Yeah, I think there are a lot of things. It depends on which cloud providers. In GCP, there's also spot instance. Sorry, in AWS, there's also spot instance. So again, like I said, every cloud provider try to provide the same thing, but just with different packaging. So you just need to know the basic of it. If it's a preemptible, what does it mean by preemptible? So it means that you can run for a VM or virtual machine for lower cost, but you will get some disadvantage. Like probably the VM can be stopped at any time, and you need to be aware of it. And then by having that information, you can design your system accordingly. If you care about the uptime, if you need 5.9 uptime, you cannot really use preemptible probably. But if you don't really care about uptime, your application can be stopped at any given time and then be spawned again. Probably you can consider using that kind of option like preemptible or spot instance. So I think it really depends on use case that you want and the scale that you are operating in.
Okay. Also, this question pop up, Mas Imre, because you mentioned that budgeting is not your areas. So we would like to understand that which team in Goto are you, Mas Imre? Because you mentioned
Ah,
that there are four teams, right?
yeah, there are four teams. I'm in automation.
Oh, in the automations area. Okay.
Previously, I'm working in developer experience. Probably I didn't mention that, so it was a new team. So it was the team that um, help developer to be more productive. But right now, I'm
Ooh,
already moved to automation team, which maintain the stateful component management, like databases, Postgres, Redis, something like that.
I see. Okay. Okay. Next
The one that
questions.
who did budgeting is my boss, not me.
Oh, okay. We should invite your boss then if you want to more insight about the budgeting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, next question, Mas Imre. Hi, sir. I'm currently learning about code engineer. As an architect, do we have to know specifically about Kubernetes, database storage, and etc., or just generally?
As an architect, uh, I think let me think about it. As an architect, you have to know specifically what Kubernetes. Uh, you don't need to know. I think if you are an architect, having a good basic knowledge about everything, I think is necessary. Is required. If you take something like GCP Cloud Professional Architect, if I'm not mistaken, it will ask you about a lot of things like database storage and networking and then compute and that kind of thing. And you need to know when to use a certain product and then when not to use a certain product. And then as an architect, you're gonna need that knowledge. But do you need hands-on practice when you do that? As an architect, I don't think so. As an architect, what you need to do is which tool that can solve the problem. And after that, you can probably hand over it to the engineer and then let the engineer work on their own. But the thing as an architect, what you need to think about is more like high level. Let's say you want to architect a new application and then how you started. Let's say you start with the networking. You need to know about the VPC. You need to know about how to do subnet, how to define the cider IP address and that kind of thing, and how to set whether you're gonna need some kind of VPN tunnel between on-prem or any other cloud providers to your VPC. I think that's something that you need to know. But I think when it comes to the implementation, you can always hand over it to the engineer who have probably more hands-on experience with it, and then let them do it. But I think you don't really need to have specific knowledge about the detail because you cannot. I mean, you cannot do. you cannot have all of the knowledge, right? If you are using Postgre, you cannot do, you don't you don't need to know what the query that you need to execute if you want to read the data from the table. What you need to do is you know that there is a table, and then you can get data from it, and that's all. I think you don't need to have more detail, but I think having knowledge about all of them is important as an architect.
Okay. Um, let's see if there's any other questions. Oh, I also have questions, Mas Imre.
Mhm.
As an preparations for being a cloud engineer, I think there are a lot of certifications out there right now. Do you think that that type of certifications will help students to get hired as a cloud engineer?
Mm, get hired or get called for interview?
Yeah, bo-
Both. Okay. So if you want to get called for the interview, I think that will be useful, if I should say. But if you want to get hired, I think it's not really. It helps you, but it cannot help you that much. What I mean by that, if you talk about the certification, right?
mm-hmm.
Like let's say, to be honest, like associate cloud engineer and also cloud architect is a really good certification if you want to assess your knowledge about GCP. But I think it doesn't give you a test for hands-on. But if you already did hands-on, and then you take that exam, I think that exam will be much easier. So I think it will be the same. If you want to get a call for interview, and then you put all of the certification, I think it will help you become more outstanding compared to other candidates which don't have that. But when it comes to the interview, and then if they ask you about the technical stuff, and then whether you did some hands-on it, I think it will not really help you that much. But I think, so what I actually suggest, if you want to take that kind of certification, don't take the certification first. Do some hands-on first, and after that, look for which certification that you need. If you need associate, or if you need cloud engineer, and then if you need cloud architect, and then aim for that after you have some hands-on experience. And I think it will help you in learning about it, because I found in several cases where people have that kind of certification, but when I ask them about the detail, they don't really know about it, and they cannot really do anything with the hands-on, because they said we just did this, we just read the documentation, and then we answered the question, but we didn't really do hands-on. I think that's a red flag that you need to avoid if possible. So yeah, I think it will be helpful if you want to get interview call, but not necessarily get hired.
Okay, so that's the one tips that Mas Imre shared. So make sure that you have hands-on experience before you go to the certifications, because it will also help you during the interview process.
Yeah.
Mas Imre, I'm also curious. For GoToFinancial, can you share like the hiring step for specifically cloud engineer? Because I think some of them on the comment box already asking like, oh, how to get hired by GoToFinancial. So probably you can share.
First, I'm not really sure actually the step from the beginning. I don't know whether there is still coding test for cloud engineer. I don't know, to be honest. But I think what I have been doing when doing interview is actually there are a couple steps. The first one is the code pairing. Code pairing is actually, you're not do code interview. They don't give problem and then let you do it by yourself. But what we do is that we give a problem statement, and then we solve it together. So it's like we do pairing. So we try to help you as an interviewer. I will try to help you in achieving the correct solution, and then you as the candidate will also be able to ask questions and also ask for help, that kind of thing. And then the next round is system design. I think it's standard. Most of the roles currently still asking for system design. And after that, there will be interview for past experiences. We discuss about what you did, and then why did you take that decision? What is your role? And then have you ever did this kind of thing and that kind of thing? So we basically talk about your past experiences, basically understand to understand what did you do, so that we can uh, see whether you are fit in the team. So something like that. And I think there will be some other step, but I think I'm not really sure about the last step. But I think for the technical stuff, that is pretty much those three interviews. So yeah, I think if you I'm not sure about product engineer interview. Cloud platform engineer actually has its own playbook if we want to do interview, but product engineer also have their own, I think. So I think the way we do the interview is a bit different. But the value that we keep, the value that we observe during the interview, I think will be the same.
Got it, got it. Hopefully, it's answer the questions that want to get hired
Yeah,
from
if you
Go
want
to
to get hired,
Financial.
reach out to me as well. Reach out to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
probably
Mas
I can
Imre
I can
also
give a
put.
referral, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I think there's some more questions from the audience. Let's pick some. Okay, this one. Us from Anna. Also from mobile engineer and want to learn about cloud engineering. Will it be hard to adapt? Where can I learn about the cloud fundamentals?
Yeah, I think it's really an interesting question. So I started as a mobile engineer, and then I started before I to cloud computing, I started with backend. The reason is why you probably will be able to see a lot of use case when you work as a backend engineer. So I think before that, probably you can start learning about how to create a REST API that will be used by the mobile app probably, and then you find a way how to deploy that. And then when you want to deploy that, you will start find other use cases like uh, hey, my backend app probably will need some databases. And then you will start learning about how to deploy databases to the cloud, probably with VM, or probably you want to use the mainnet services like Cloud SQL and that kind of thing. Uh, and after that, if you continue working on the back end, you will start see other use cases like how to optimize for the performance, how to increase the performance. Probably you can start learning about cache, and then when you start learning about cache, and you ask question how to create cache in cloud, and then there will be some managed service for it as well, like memory store and that kind of thing. So I think start learning. If you learning, if you want to do any kind of learning, start with the use case, what kind of questions that you have, and then what you want to do. And after that, it will be easier to see what's the next step in the learning process itself. And then will it be hard to adapt? I think in the beginning, I think yes. But I think if you have strong software engineering background, like computer science background, I think it will be easier for you to understand how it works. But actually, it's just HTTP, right? It's a REST API. If you talk from mobile to backend, it will just a RESTful API, and I think that concept is actually common in university as well. And so I think it will be easier to grasp. And then, yeah, I think it will be easier if you have strong fundamental again. When where can I learn about cloud fundamentals? I don't know, to be honest. I got cloud fundamentals when I was at school. I took cloud computing course at the time. So in class we didn't really talk about the GCP, AWS, but we talk about the cloud fundamental like networking and compute, and then databases like other kind of thing. So that's where learning about fundamentals. You can probably, I don't know. I think if you want to see the syllabus, you can search for CMU Cloud Computing. I came from CMU, Carnegie Mellon, and then there is a course. I think the syllabus is open for public. You can start from there. Try to search, read for the syllabus, and then after that, you probably can get clue about what to learn next. I think that's what I can share. But I don't know specific course that can be used outside the course that I taken. So I think yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's answer your questions, Anna. Next question from Liam. Should we lock everything for debug because there are some points of time where some unexpected error might occur?
Should we
I
lock
think this is
everything for debug?
technical questions.
I
Yeah.
think in staging or in dev environment, I think it's okay to do this, but I think it's not really recommended to do it in production because if you send log, right, sending log to, let's say, to the centralized system like cloud logging or stack driver will cost you money. So I think if you have a lot of debug log, and then it will increase your cost. So I think what you need to log is typically you need to log for important events, like if you want to uh, let's say if you want to know whether there is error for particular procedures, you need to log that. That's one thing. If you want to let's say if you want to create metrics based on the log, you can also also have to do that. So I think it doesn't have to be debug. You can also use info, but I think the key here is to define what important event that you want to log for your application, whether it's an error or whether a payment is success, whether it's a new user is created, and that kind of thing. Because if you want to use that as a metrics, you can also use your log as a metrics later, and it will also help you in getting more context about how your application running and then how application behave in the cloud.
Okay, hopefully it's answer your question, Liam. There's another questions about, I think this is the role, one of the role of the cloud engineer or software engineer in general, I think, about call rotations. Mas Imre, can you share more about the call rotations? What these things do, and then what your roles as cloud engineer do when you are on call and stuff like that?
Okay. Uh, Thank you for asking. I think this is interesting because the perspective is a bit different if we talk about on-call the rotation in product engineering. So in product engineering, typically we have on-call rotation, right? And then the on-call rotation will be responsible for all of the alerting that trigger during their period. So let's say I'm on call this week, and then there is an alert saying that the latency is increased. So I will be the one who responsible uh, for uh, ec- for investigating what happened, and then I will be the one who responsible to notify other teams if it involve other teams as well. And then yeah, that's what product engineer really does. But during the on call. But if we talk about cloud engineer, I think there is also additional things that we typically do. So apart from observing for alert, for error alert, and that kind of thing, we also do ticket how to say this, probably I think something like we also work on a request from developer. So let's say developer coming to us, hey, I need your help, and then I need your help for, let's say, creating a new database with this specification, and then they come to us and then we provision it. That's what people on call rotation typically does on my team. So let's say you want to create a database and then you create a ticket, and then the one that is on call rotation will also work on the ticket. If there is also alert, the same people will also work on the alert as well. So I think there is more responsibility on cloud engineering on call rotation. But I think yeah, the goal for the on call rotation is actually to ensure that we can achieve, we can react as fast as possible if something's bad happen. So I think yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions. I saw an interesting questions, Mas Imre. Is there any task that has Prambanan deadline? So if you uh, just give the other audience context about Prambanan deadline, usually Prambanan deadline is a very tight deadline that probably it's only like one night. You need to complete everything. So in Indonesia, we call it Prambanan deadline because there's a folk tales about the Prambanan statue. So yeah, do you have any answer about this, Mas Imre?
I don't. I think for small tasks, I think we have it. But for bigger tasks, I think it won't happen. I think because the reason why it won't happen, I think, is because we have like something like procedures in order to deliver a big changes. Like we need to write a documents, and then we need to present that, and then we need to get it reviewed by stakeholders, and then after that we start implementing it. So I think for the bigger tasks, I think it won't be possible. But I think for small tasks, I think yeah, I think we have it. We have some changes that we need to be done. Probably not in one night. Probably we got probably a couple days to work on it. I think we still have it. but not for a big thing.
One sprint, one sprint.
Yeah, I think that kind of period. I think.
Okay. Okay. Hope that answer your question, Dwi Setio. Let's go to the next questions. As a cloud engineer, do you need to set the security and networking too?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, in my team, there's a governance teams, right? Governance is the one who define the standard that we have for naming, for convention, and also for cider IP cider range that we can use for the subnet and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's part of the job. So we need to set up for the VPC, and we also need to define how big the subnet is, and then we need to set up the tunnels if we need to communicate with other VPC as well. Yeah, but yeah, there are still a lot of things to do in security networking too. But it's not my job; it's other team's job.
Yeah, because you are more into automation, Mas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, so I also have questions here, Mas. You told the hiring process for the cloud expert, but could you also share the process for the fresh graduates? Is it is there any possibilities for fresh graduates to apply directly as a cloud engineer right after they graduate from school, Mas Imre?
yeah. I think if you follow the social media or probably LinkedIn of the company like Gojek, Tokopedia, and also GoToFinancial, you will see that we are currently hiring aggressively. This year, at least, we are trying to hire hundreds of engineers, fresh grad. So I think it's a quite big number. We still don't know how to get all of them. And then yeah, the process is a bit different. I think the problem statement is different. I think the step we typically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you need to submit the resume to a platform, recruitment platform. If I'm not mistaken, it was Caliber, something like that. And then after that, you will get a screen, and after that, probably there will be some coding challenge that you need to solve, and once you pass that, you will go to the interview round. So the interview round will still be the coding interview. So coding interview will be done with the engineer. I think the format will be a bit different, but after that you will also have the system design interview, and after that you will have past experience and that kind of thing, probably HR interview. But yeah, I think the process is kind of similar. The problem statement is different, and also yeah, I think the complexity is different. But I think for new fresh graduate, what you need to aware of is we actually do campus hiring. We do campus hiring. We have until September, if I'm not mistaken. There are several campus hiring events, so you need to carefully pay attention to it and then join it. Yeah, I think that's the good start if you want to start searching for the opportunity and go to financial.
Mas Imre, there are a comment.
To be, I don't know. I personally never get the coding challenge like from HackerRank platform because I didn't go via this way. I go directly with the code pairing that I mentioned earlier. But I think
Mm,
yeah, the problem, if I should say, the problem is actually easy. The problem is easy, but what I don't know, most candidates seem struggling with first communication during the interview, and they are not used to talk a lot when trying to solve a problem. So that's why we as interviewers sometimes doesn't really understand what they want to do, what they want to achieve. So we cannot really help them during the interview. So that's why probably they think that they were intimidated, but we didn't intimidate them. Uh, we are we as an interviewer want to help them to become success during the interview. So that's why what we want to do is we want to understand what is your difficulty during the interview, what your problem, and tell us so that we can help you. So I think that's why people sometimes get stressed with the interview. But I think the interview problem is really easy if you try to think clearly. If you uh, take that problem after the interview, I think you will be able to solve it easily. But I think in the interview, because the way we do the interview is not as common as probably other company do, I think that's why it becomes more intimidating. But I think the problem is easy.
Yeah, I think this is
Just
also a tips from Mas Imre that beside hard skill, you need to also have soft skills. Communications is also the key during the
yeah,
interview process.
yeah.
So when you do like coding interview, don't forget like to also communicate with your interview like what you are currently thinking, so
Mhm.
they know and can help you if you facing any challenges.
Yeah. I think what we're trying to do during the interview is we try to simulate how we work in day-to-day basis. We work with the team, so we need to communicate our idea, we need to communicate our problem, and then we need to listen for feedback or for clue from our peers. So I think that's what we are trying to simulate during the interview.
Okay, good tips, guys. Okay. Any other questions from our viewers? If not, probably we can share this one, Mas. The one that people already asked earlier. How to get hired from GoToFinancial. So yeah, if you are interested, you can go to this link and probably reach out to Mas Imre to get a referral. Right,
Yeah.
Mas Imre? How they can reach out to you? Is it on Twitter or LinkedIn or any platform that you prefer?
Reach out to me on Twitter. I don't really use LinkedIn, so I'm sorry if you ever add me in LinkedIn, but I didn't accept it. It's because I never opened LinkedIn actually. Uh, so yeah, reach out to me in Twitter, in other platform, but not LinkedIn.
Okay, so in Twitter ya guys, don't forget. Don't LinkedIn, okay? Don't add him on LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah, you can add me, but I cannot guarantee that it will be accepted because I never really checked that, to be honest. I'm sorry if you. Sometimes I'm afraid that people will think, "Hey, Imre is really arrogant. He didn't accept my invitation on LinkedIn." Dude, I didn't open LinkedIn, so yeah. The last time I opened LinkedIn was for change my title from cloud engineer to pawang hujan during the
Oh,
MotoGP event, and after that I changed it back to cloud engineer, and I never opened LinkedIn anymore.
okay. Oh, I saw there's some more questions coming in. Probably we
Yeah.
can answer that. Okay. From Alvin, is there a way to practice our project on cloud resources without spending more money?
Yeah. Yes, there is. The answer is yes. What you need to do is you need to create a new account, and then once you create a new account, you will get 300 USD as a start, and then you can use that for any GCP products. But be careful to terminate all of them. Uh, the things that I'll always recommend is that you create a new project before you learn, and after that, when you done learn it, you completely remove the project because it will remove all of the resource that has been created. And then, yeah, I think that's one tips. And then the second tips is in GCP or probably other cloud provider, there is something called free tier. So you need to search for, let's say, if you want to get free compute engine, you need to search for compute engine free tier, and then it will give you information about how to get free tier. So let's say you can create a free VM with this kind of spec, probably lower spec, and then you can have it free for a month. I think that's one way to not spend your money. But I think if you want to learn more, you will need to spend money. Nothing is free.
Yeah, I also want to jump in onto that.
Ah, yeah.
Usually, Google developers also have a programs. It's called differently in different countries. So, for example, in Indonesia we have Juara GCP. In Malaysia we have GCP Boleh. In Singapore we have Majula GCP. In Vietnam we have Quan Quan GCP. So, if you're interested to have the resources to our cloud courses. So please join the sessions and follow us in our Google Developer Space channel or in Google Dev Indonesia Twitter channels as well if you are coming from Indonesia. So we always update there. Or you can also follow your local GDG. So usually they will help us like to promote about the event to you guys. Yeah, hopefully it's answers. So okay, next questions. As a final question, is that which step we should take to resolve bottleneck problem at database, including synchronization problem between database?
I actually I don't quite understand the question is, but I think
Yeah.
I'll try to answer that. I think the way if you want to try to search for the problem for a system, one thing that you need to know, one thing that you need to have is about the monitoring. So I think let's say you see that there is a bottleneck on database, but how do we know which part of the database that become the bottleneck? So to know that, we're gonna need to monitor. So let's say you want to know whether there is a slow query or not. How do we do that? We're gonna need to instrument all of the query that is executed to database, and after that we can see the response time, and then we can decide later which one becomes the bottleneck. So I'm not quite sure about the synchronization problem that you are mentioning here, but I think yeah, like I mentioned, first step that you need to know is getting the information about the system itself via monitoring. I hope it helps. But if it not, reach out to me in Twitter. I will be happy to discuss it.
Okay, I think this is our last questions today.
Yeah,
Mas Imre, any advice on how to accelerate our career?
you can jump for from one company to another company in every year. No, I'm kidding. Don't take it seriously. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, I think it depends on your financial motive, right? But in general, I won't recommend it. But I think one tips that I can share is join a community. So if you want to accelerate your career, one important things is having a good network. So how to get that network is by joining a community. So in Indonesia, I think in Indonesia or in general Southeast Asia, we have a lot of tech community, right? We also have tech conferences. That's something that you can participate on. Don't just become the attendance, but become the active community contributor. How to do that? Probably for the first couple times when you're joining the community, you observe how people run the community, what kind of things that become the interest of the community, and after that, you try to uh, give back to the community by probably you approach the organizer and hey, I want to become the speaker. How to do that? Is there anything that I need to prepare? What is the things that I need to do? You basically do something like that, and then once you have that, people will start noticing you, and then after that, you can use that kind of network power to basically accelerate your career and growth. I think that's one tips that I can share. After that, you will be able to find it by yourself. I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Mas Imre, for your sharing. Hopefully, for our student friends here, it useful. So yeah, I also learned a lot of things from you today. Before we end the sessions, I think I will share some informations from our not sponsor from Google developers team. The first one is if you are based in Malaysia, we will have our first kickoff meeting for GCP Boleh. This is the one that I mentioned before. If you're interested to learn more about cloud computing and have access to our Google Cloud course, feel free to join this. This is our first offline event in KL. So if you're interested, feel free to register using this link. And then the second one is next Saturday, we will have the GDSC Skills Up Series number 3. This is also getting to know the roles. But the difference is now we are next week we will discussing more about software engineer. So the speaker will be Dairin, software engineer at Spectrum Software Switzerland. So don't forget to register yourself and joining us next week as well. Okay, because we already 12:01 in Jakarta. I would like to say Thank you so much, Mas Imre, for spending your weekend with us. Hopefully, you have a great time.
Yeah, I have a great time. Thank you, Mbak Febri, for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone from a lot of countries that already mentioned on the first sessions. Thank you so much for joining us on your weekend as well. I'll see you next week on the same time. I think it's also 11 a.m. GMT plus 7. So yeah, have a good weekend, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.